Welcome to Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. I'm glad to have you here. I mean, like I'm consistently saying, if you have subscribed to the channel, thank you very much for subscribing. If you are yet to, please do well to subscribe. I think you should, because this is the best place to get everything football tactical analysis. You get it best here. It doesn't get better from here. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. If you subscribe, make sure you do turn on notification. There's a lot to talk about. Today in Mauricio Pochettino's pre-match presser against Manchester City, he has spoken about a lot of stuff. He alluded to the fact that Romeo Lavia is returning to full team training after the international break. He has spoken about the fact that Christopher Nkunku, he spoke to him just a couple of days ago. Nkunku did tell him that he, Nkunku, would want to return to the team right after the international break. But really, today we want to look at what the possible midfield dynamic is. If you're a Chelsea fan, just before we go on, who should be dropped now that Romeo Lavia is almost fully fit? I don't expect Nkunku and Lavia to be playing the game against Newcastle after the international break. That's going to be a very, very aggressive game. High-intensity game. One game that you just cannot rest and take your eye off the ball or any action. But really, who do you think should be benched from the Chelsea midfield? How do you think the dynamic should go? And that's exactly why we are here. We want to analyze the tactical dynamics of Romeo Lavia returning back into Chelsea's midfield fold and the possibility of seeing Christopher Nkunku. And tomorrow, the big preview is going to go on Manchester City versus Chelsea, the detailed analysis, where the game will be won and lost. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you turn on the notification button and then subscribe to the channel. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. I'll return to you with all the So, of course, mandatory of Mauricio Pochettino in the build-up to the game against Manchester City, he has to do the pre-match presser. And I think that a lot of stuff did come up. First of all, he spoke about how he saw the Chelsea game against Tottenham Hotspur, where he said that he doesn't think that the game in itself was crazy. And that if there was anything with respect to VAR, then Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur were lucky on the day, if really we are talking about some team being lucky and then the video assistant refereeing. And it is in that interview that he has spoken about the fact that Romeo Lavia is returning to the team. He has spoken about the fact that he has spoken to Christopher Nkunku, and then Nkunku also alludes to the fact that he wants to return to the team after the international break. But it is the midfield dynamics of Chelsea going forward with Romeo Lavia returning. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. So guys, just before we go on, I'm making a promise to you. Hopefully by our next video, we are going to have a live tactical board here. So I'm going to get a live tactical board here, and everything I talk about with respect to tactics will be shown live here. So yeah, you don't want to stay away for a second. You don't want to miss out on the contents I have for you as the season goes on. So that's exactly what it is. So Mauricio Pochettino is known for his 4-2-3-1. And one of the reasons why he has been successful is that he's a consistent and relentless runner as a coach. That's what he prioritizes. That he thinks that physicality and then the fact that players are supposed to be in their best physical shape is very, very important. And so a lot of Mauricio Pochettino's teams have been physically very, very fit. You go back to his days at Southampton, you go back to his days at Paris Saint-Germain, and you realize that almost every time his teams are very fit and then they run the most distances. In yesterday's video, I did analyze the fact that Chelsea are 17th in terms of distance covered as it stands now. And that's so uncharacteristic of Mauricio Pochettino's teams. He plays in a 4-2-3-1. That's Mauricio Pochettino's go-to. At Tottenham Hotspur, I remember the job he did with the likes of Victor Wanyama in the middle of the park. I remember what he did with Moussa Dembele. For me, Moussa Dembele is one of the best press-resistant midfielders the game has ever seen, especially in the English Premier League. For me, the most underrated midfielder ever in the history of the English Premier League was Moussa Dembele. He was brilliant. I don't know what Moussa did not have. Ball carrying, ball retention, the technical ability to play out of the press, the hold-up play, the fact that he has a dribble in his game. He had the shot accuracy and then the shot power and the ball striking ability. He had everything in his locker for a midfielder. There were days where Pochettino would want to partner him with Victor Wanyama in there. But there were also days where Pochettino would want to go straight positional play, like what he learned from Marcelo Bielsa. Essentially, you ask yourself, why is that Mauricio Pochettino prioritizes a lot of intensity in his games and wants his teams to be willing runners, and why in preseason he subjects his players to the Garçon test? It is simple, because he had his tutelage as a player under the legendary Marcelo Bielsa, and everybody that follows the game knows that Marcelo Bielsa is the king of intensity. It is basketball, football essentially, and how he can manage and regulate the chaos in such games. But Mauricio Pochettino has essentially grown and has come to understand that whilst you'd want to have teams that are willing runners, that will chase the game, that will run and whatnot, you also have to understand that that isn't the only thing the game is about. So sometimes you're supposed to play in formations where your midfielders, for one, are supposed to be more press resistant, whether in a single pivot or in a double pivot. So this season, Pochettino has played in a 4-2-3-1 at Chelsea, where Enzo Fernandez is more like the progressor. Of course, sometimes some of the job is done by Moise Caicedo, which is also very good. Moise is very good in terms of receiving the ball in the first phase, under pressure, with and without pressure, and all of those things. Enzo Fernandez is very good in terms of the progressive passes of the ball. In fact, in the Chelsea team, I don't think anybody has more progressive passes than Enzo Fernandez. He's a wonderful carrier. He's a very good progressor of the ball and all of those things. But Conor Ghallager, I think he has been the unsung hero for Chelsea Football Club and the things that he has done. I remember seasons past, I will consistently analyze Conor and I'll tell people that he isn't a bad player. He's just not thriving in a system that isn't thriving. And you need to give him patience. This season, I've seen Conor Gallagher's technical ability go up a notch. I've seen his physicality go up a notch. He was hugely physical. He was an off-the-ball monster to crash the box. But the season has come in, and he's doing more than just that. He's doing more than just crashing the box. He's a leader of Chelsea's press. He's a regular technical player, and he has beginning to do things in a simple way, not overcomplicating things like other players will do when things are not going on well, especially when you have a lot of technical players or technicians around them. He's not doing that. He is living the game in its simplistic form. And I think that's brilliant for a midfielder like that. But the dynamics of Chelsea's midfield changes essentially by a mile. Immediately, Romeo Lavia joins that club. Now, my thinking is, from Joe Shields and Paul Winstanley's point of view, the presence of Romeo Lavia is to be able to get somebody who is a 2-in-1. And when I say a 2-in-1, I mean somebody who is a defensive monster in terms of winning the ball back, being an aggressive presser, and all of those. But also in terms of ball progression in the first phase, he is almost unpressable. Southampton versus Chelsea last season at the St. Mary's Park. Chelsea pushing up men, Jorginho and the likes, to go and press Romeo Lavia. He does something brilliantly that almost every single double pivot number 6 does. And for me, that is what sets these kind of profiles apart from every other midfielder. It is the opening out of the body to receive the ball. But before that, there are subtle things that they do, and that is the scanning. They consistently scan. They consistently scan around them, consistently look around them, receive the ball, opens up the body so well such that the incoming player doesn't know where to attack from. Are you going to close him down from the front or from behind? Because he's essentially just opened up his body. Declan Rice does that brilliantly in the first phase for us now. Romeo Lavia is brilliant at that. There's another player who does that brilliantly, but a lot of people have not seen him. And his name is Stefan Bajcetic. He's with Liverpool. A couple of injuries here and there, and he's not playing games. But Bajcetic is essentially also very, very good in terms of receiving from the first phase and playing forward. So immediately, Romeo Lavia joins Chelsea Football Club. It means that Pochettino can comfortably switch to play in a 4-3-3. But even right before that, once Romeo Lavia is in, Chelsea can now drop and rest players once anybody is injured. Enzo Fernandez has been injured has been tired, has been playing consistently for a very long time. You'd want him to rest at some point in time. Now, if you have Romeo Lavia in the second phase, in the first phase, in terms of progression, he's excellent. So you can rest Enzo Fernandez and have him there. If you still want to play in your 4-2-3-1, you can easily play Lavia X Moise Caicedo in there. You can play Lavia X Enzo Fernandez in there, the permutations of these midfielders is good. And the dynamics is good for Chelsea in that regard, on and off the ball. You don't necessarily lose quality. So, for every Chelsea fan that's excited that Romeo Lavia is in, I think that's a good point. Because you don't lose quality. In terms of quality, Chelsea are going to get the quality that they have seen throughout the season once he comes in. And if, let's say, Enzo is tired and has to get some rest, same for Moyes, because Enzo can play there. And now, if you want to play in a 4-2-3-1, you have 3 physical monsters. Enzo is not a physical monster. That's the little deficiency in his game. The off-the-ball job. Yes, he is decent. He's not bad. He's not a Jorginho off the ball. But he's not a Caicedo either. He's not a Declan Rice either. So it is that dynamics that Declan Rice, Thomas Partey are able to give us now. That's what Romeo Lavia is going to be able to give Chelsea once he's fully fit. Now, if you play in a 4-2-3-1 with Cornor, Ghallager, Enzo Fernandez, and Moyes Caicedo, it means that without the ball, you can play in a single hole of Romeo Lavia alone, whilst Moyes Caicedo can do an excellent box-to-box job consistently. With Enzo Fernandez, he can't do the box-to-box job. He every time has to be the last man in the middle of the park to deal with the counter press and the turnovers that most likely will come. And because of his not excellent athleticism, I think that Lavia is an excellent athlete than Moyes Caicedo. Sometimes he's being picked apart, but Lavia is just that guy. Apart from all of these things, too, in terms of comparing a car's gear to a midfield, Lavia is gear 3, especially when you are playing in the dying numbers of the game and you want absolute control on the ball. Enzo Fernandez will receive the ball. He wants to play forward. That's his stock in truth. Break the lines and whatnot. Lavia, in the first, second phase, is a super controller of the ball. He's also very, very quick in terms of his counter pressing and then winning the ball back to make sure that he starts possession again for his teams. But for me, the dynamics that he gives Chelsea that I'm particularly very excited about isn't even about his on-the-ball exploits. I just like the fact that the whole team and Mauricio Pochettino can switch into a 4-3-3 flat. And in this 4-3-3, Romeo Lavia essentially becomes the single pivot. Chelsea hasn't played in a single pivot for a very long time. So there's going to be Leslie Ugochukwu, there is Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Romeo Lavia, Cornor Ghallager. But I just like the fact that Leslie Ugochukwu can play in a single pivot, but Romeo Lavia is in less level in terms of single pivot role. And then there's also Moises Caicedo, who essentially isn't so much of a single pivot player, but thrives so much more in a double pivot. So immediately Romeo Lavia comes in. It's a single pivot. Here we go, baby. Because now there's a player that can receive on the half turn. There's a player that can open his body and receive. There's this same player that's an aggressive counter presser. It's the same player that is able to chase the ball and win it back. But once he receives it, he finds the best pass because his pass selection is on the level of Thomas Partey. And that's exactly what Chelsea are getting Romeo Lavia. And his return to the team adds a lot to Chelsea's new midfield dynamic. And it's one that you look at and you lick your lip and say, wow, Chelsea really are going all for it with Romeo Lavia. And I think that's going to blossom beautifully with Romeo Lavia. In a 4-3-3, in a 4-2-3-1, one of the things that I can see is that if you are playing in a 4-3-3 and Romeo Lavia is your man in the single pivot, and you're playing Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, now essentially you can have Moises Caicedo just slightly ahead of him and for him to do the box-to-box job. But you can also push Enzo Fernandez up top to play more like an extra number 10. If, say, someone like Kani Chukwuemeka is injured and he's not going to be able to play, then you have Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez in the half spaces. Then you can have proper wingers like Sterling driving out from wide areas, Mihailo Modric and whatnot also doing their job. Then a proper striker is in between there. It's also playing centrally. So it adds so much more to Chelsea's attacking dynamics and midfield dynamics. And I think it's something that for every tactical person, it excites you. So yeah, guys, this is where time will permit us. My name again is Fiifi-Manfred. If you're able to watch till this far, you have to subscribe. You don't have to move on again. Just pause the video now, hit the subscribe button, turn on notification, and do choose all. My name still remains Fiifi-Manfred. I'm consistently grateful for your support. I'll see you. Until then, Take good care of yourself. Bye.